I would love you to think back to your first memory of instant coffee. I'd like you to hold on to that thought for just a minute. Welcome back to Coffee with GPA. So that moment where you first tried instant coffee, or perhaps your earliest memory of instant coffee, what was it that actually went through your mind when you was rethinking about these things? One of my, perhaps not earliest memories of instant coffee, but certainly one of my most poignant, was back in 2011. Now, I was just going out with my then girlfriend at the time, now my wife, but I remember going to her mum's house for the very first time, and she asked me if I wanted a cup of coffee. So, being the polite person that I am, and generally the fairly nice person that I am, I agreed to let her make me this slightly horrifying cup of coffee. And it started from the lounge. We walked into the kitchen and she went to the top cupboard right above the toaster. She then pulled out this jar of Maxwell House. Now, to say it was a jar of Maxwell House is perhaps stretching that a little bit. It was a half empty jar where the coffee had actually virtually stuck to the inside of it because it hadn't been used in about 4 years. Now, needless to say, you probably know what that coffee was going to taste like just by the way I've described that whole journey. But things have changed a little bit now. We're a lot more used to coffee, and we're a lot more used to how coffee is so time consuming but special, but also fairly convenient for lots of the reasons that we tend to generally enjoy it for. So this coffee this week is it's a kind of cool one actually. It's an instant coffee from WAKA Coffee. Now, this is priced at $11.99. You can get this either at wakacoffee.com, WAKA coffee.com, or Amazon.com, and it's done in several different packages. So you can either get a slightly larger pouch, or you can get it in this form. Now, I actually quite like the convenience of this. Now, I have a bit of a pre-gym ritual every day where I get up, I grind my beans, I make my coffee, currently with an old school La Pavoni machine, which is awesome. But I've been trying recently to use some of these. Now, let me show you why this is cool. First of all, it's a super convenient size. Now, this box contains 8 servings of WAKA coffee. Now, this is a freeze-dried Arabica coffee. Now, that might seem perhaps quite a good step forward because a lot of instant coffee is generally Robusta, mainly because it's a lot cheaper to produce, a lot easier to come by in certain parts of the world, but also very high in caffeine. Now, when you actually open up these, this was the reason I thought it was a very cool idea. Just convenient travel packs. Now, I've actually been carrying some of these around in my wallet, which might seem a little bit strange, but it works so well because these are so small, they're no real bigger than a little set of business cards. So having those inside my wallet or even inside my gym bag means that if I'm really desperate for a cup of coffee throughout the day and I don't have easy access to a coffee machine of some sort, then actually these are quite convenient. But this particular one, so it's a kind of really straightforward process. Let's go through the whole process of how we make this coffee. Then we can perhaps give it a bit of a taste test to see what we can expect from this little sachet of WAKA coffee. Now, the whole process is fairly complicated, as you can imagine. You need to start by firmly ripping off the top of it. Now it does actually throw you a little bit. Now, the smell of this isn't entirely like what you'd expect from instant coffee. I generally think of this slightly chemically flat, potentially slightly sour note to the whole smell of it. This doesn't really smell like that. They're little individually packed, well, kind of foil on the inside, paper on the outside. But they smell like a little bit sweet, a little bit almost citrus-like. But you don't get that chemical smell to it, which is kind of intriguing. So inside a little sachet goes. Now we'll top it up with water. They say around 8 to 10 ounces of water in this. There we go. So there's our very long processed coffee. Now I want to try this in 2 forms first. A lot of people drink their coffee black. I actually at the moment tend to drink it, if it's not espresso, with a little bit of oat milk on the inside of it. Now this is probably going to throw you just that little fraction further because it doesn't smell disgusting. It kind of smells, and I'm using slightly cooled down water in this, it's not boiling hot, but it's almost slightly grapefruity. slightly grapefruity, slightly lemony. There's a bit of an acidity, like a citrus fruit acidity in it. Now that's the difference. When you're buying the average like consumer instant coffee from a supermarket, even if you're spending several pounds on a fairly okay jar of it, and I do include Dow Egberts in that because Dow Egberts is actually one of the only ones that I've drunk in the past where it's been pretty good, you always tend to get a bit of an aftertaste of chemical, or a bit of a first taste of chemical, or at least I do anyway. But this doesn't really have that. It's not bitter, it doesn't taste too dark, it's not dark and smoky or bitter and just tangy. It's really pleasant, to the point where I could potentially drink that black if I wanted to. Let's just add a little bit of oat milk to it as well. That just seems to be the thing at the moment I find really good. And I don't know about you, but if you go through phases of how you drink your coffee, I certainly do, you'll notice that this makes quite a big difference when you are starting to use different things at different times. So there is exactly the same coffee, but this time with our oat milk. It's actually really good. There's a nice kind of soft taste from that now, and it's definitely that little bit creamier because of the oat milk, but it's a good tasting coffee. Admittedly, I probably wouldn't replace the normal coffee that I make because I enjoy the process of it, and I love the way that fresh coffee with freshly roasted, freshly ground beans tastes. It will always be my thing. If you are in need of coffee on the go, you know, we do a lot of talk about having coffee on travels, on your holidays, etc. This is literally like the perfect convenient way of getting a nice tasting coffee into your travels as well. Where else you might see this being particularly useful, if you go to the gym a lot, consider using these as part of your kind of change of your protein shake. If you have a protein shake in the morning after your workout, perhaps not so much in the evening, that's when your decaf comes in though. That's a really handy one. If you're doing it in the morning, a little sachet of one of these inside your protein shake with a bit of a mix around will actually give you a nice kind of mocha tasting protein shake as well. But all in all, it's good value for money because you're getting a good quality coffee. It's well worth checking out. Go to wakacoffee.com. You can also try amazon.com and grab yourself a box, or if you want to go for a slightly bigger pouch, you can do that. They do also do packs where you can buy 3 of these in one hit if you do go through a bit more, or if you just want to keep them in different places. I think this is a great idea and I really like the company. Apparently they do quite a lot of charity work as well, so there's a percentage of the sales with this coffee that actually goes towards helping different charities. So if that kind of helps swing things a bit, well worth exploring. So check out WAKA Coffee. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Also, please consider subscribing if you haven't done at this point already. But it's been lovely seeing everybody again. I hope you enjoy your coffee. Can't wait to see you again very soon for some more how-tos and some brand new coffee reviews from some great new roasters as well. I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Take care.